our own itihas. This is how it happened. History, not mythology. And that is the Mahabharat. So there are two itihas, Ramayana and Mahabharat. This actually happened 5,561 years before. So today we will conclude this reflection. If anyone has any questions, I have received one or two questions that interesting questions we will address. If anyone has any questions, we can discuss post the session. So let us sit straight. Head, neck, backbones straight. Today we have to specifically say neck straight because neck is always bent in the mobile phone or laptop. A lot of stress comes on the neck. A still body is a very important sadhana for a spiritual sadhak. Let us withdraw our mind from all that has happened in the past, keeping only the learnings with us. No regrets of the past, no future anxieties, worries, what will happen, no present tensions and confusions. And let us take a deep, slow, conscious breath. Most of the time we are not so conscious about our own breath. We are also not conscious about consciousness, our own mind, our own breath. Because the entire attention is on the content of our experience, what is happening, thinking, feeling, perceiving, doing. So the body is still, mind is cheerful, intellect is clear. And with this, when we do Shravan, Manan, Nididhyasanam, we get the essence of what we are doing. Let us invoke Lord's grace and Guru Parampara's blessings by chanting loudly together. Let us take a deep breath and chant 3 times Om. Om. So when we chant Om, Brahman, Atman, God says, okay, who is calling me? Because that is a name given to Brahman. So we should chant loudly. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sah Viryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
गजाननं भूतगणादिसेवितं कपित्थजम्बूफलसारभक्षितम् उमासुतं शोकविनाशकारणं नमामि विघ्नेश्वर पादपङ्कजम् सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा अखण्डमण्डलाकारं व्याप्तं येन चराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। स्थावरं जङ्गमं व्याप्तं यत्किञ्चित् सचराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। चिन्मयं व्यापि यत्सर्वं त्रैलोक्यं सचराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। त्वमेव माता च पिता त्वमेव त्वमेव बन्धुश्च सखा त्वमेव त्वमेव विद्या द्रविणं त्वमेव त्वमेव सर्वं मम देवदेव। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। श्रीवेदव्यासाय नमः। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। हरि ओम्।
Hari Om. Thank you, Manisha. So we are reflecting on the Mahabharat, and today we will complete this reflection. So this is a itihas, history. This is how it happened. This happened, not mythology. And who wrote? Ved Vyasji? Ganpati wrote, but Ved Vyasji was present when this Mahabharat was happening, and he was part of that particular history. This is very important to note, because if you see many of the religious texts, those were written post that Mahatma had exited. Like Quran is written post Muhammad's exit, 100 years or 50 years or 200 years. Bible is written 1,000 years, Old and New Testament. About Alexander, people think it is a history. After 200 years, one Chinese person came and wrote. After 200 years. And still here is a doubt when there is a archaeological, geographical, historical, astronomical and lineage proof. What more proofs we want? So Mahabharat happened, as per Nilesh Oak has given one year also, 5,561 years before exactly. So and Ramayana according to him happened 12,209 years. So today we will see the highlight what we saw and also we will see how this Mahabharat, which happened in Dwapar Yuga, has reached us in 2026 June 14. This is very important because it is a history. So how this history is reaching us is very important. So just to see the highlights of the entire story, what is Mahabharat, quickly in 5 minutes, that we started Mahabharat with Shakuntala and Dushyant. Shakuntala is daughter of Vishwamitra ji. And why she is important? Because she becomes the mother of Kuru Vansha. Because 8 generations down the line, Shantanu was born. And then we saw Shantanu and Ganga meeting, mysterious story of Gangaji. And Bhishma, who is not from the earthly plane. And then after Gangaji goes away, after her shap is over, how Shantanu meets Satyavati and Bhishma takes Bhishma Pratijna. We also saw how Pandu, Dhritarashtra and Vidur was born. In between, there is a short story of Amba, Ambalika, Ambika came with Bhishma. And the main story of Mahabharat starts where Pandavas and Kauravas are born through Pandu and Kunti, Kandhari and Dhritarashtra. That is where the whole family dispute starts. We also destroyed a couple of myths. Gandhari married on her own will. She had no Mangal in her Graha and she was married to goat and all. It is not there in Ved Vyasji's story, Ved Vyasji's Mahabharat. Second, Shakuni, along with his father and brothers, fought the war in Mahabharat. Not that he was put in the jail by Bhishma. That is again a side story coming later on in some vernacular regional versions. We also saw during Mahabharat that how Sanjay also fought the war. He was fighting the war and going and telling in the evening. Because that again we had an image that Sanjay is sitting in the Hastinapur and seeing everything like a TV here happening on the Kurukshetra. Then how Pandavas and Kauravas education starts, rivalry starts, Dronacharya comes and teaches them. So one of the best teachers. And then Dronacharya completes the education and asks from Pandavas that he wants his Guru Dakshina by defeating Drupada. Drupada becomes a very central character in Mahabharata. And then Karna and Duryodhan team loses. Arjun wins and brings Drupada here through Dronacharya and the kingdom is divided half and they become friends. So how one small sentence and one experience can rule one's life, that is Dronacharya's life. Not very easy to digest insult by his own friend. And then the competition starts, rivalry starts between Kauravas and Pandavas. Bhima is given poison by Duryodhan once or twice, he gets saved. Then they are not able to, do that. So they plot a lakh palace and they wanted to burn Pandavas. Vidur saves them. They escape from there and then Draupadi Swayamvar happens. And we saw that how Draupadi gets married to 5 of them. And when they come back with Draupadi, now they have a big ally, Pandavas plus Drupada. Because Draupadi's father is Drupada. Now this is a big force. So we also have to understand that Pandavas didn't challenge Kauravas when there were only 5 of them. With Drupada army, they become a huge force. And then Duryodhan refuses to give Hastinapur and one small plot is given, which nothing grows in that. That is the Indraprastha which Pandavas develop. And then Yudhishthir does the Rajasuya Yajna. This is an important episode in the Mahabharata because Rajasuya Yajna means Yudhishthir becomes the emperor of Bharat. And that is where the jealousy in Duryodhan starts because Duryodhan is the king of Hastinapur. Bhishma is there. But they have not done Rajasuya Yajna. Now there is no way to defeat kill Pandavas. So the next plot is the dice game where Yudhishthira is invited and Draupadi Vastraharan happens. And then they lose everything. Draupadi wins over that day, and then Pandavas go in the exile for 12 years, 1 year of incognito living, Ajnatavasa. In that, they take lot of dharma discourses happen. Arjun earns lot of weapons, and 1 year they stay in the Virat Raj, which is near Jaipur. And there the Kichak Vad happens. Bhim kills Kichak. And then Duryodhan and team comes to know. And then Duryodhan attacks and Arjun defeats them single-handedly. This is another important episode in Mahabharata. Also, when Gandhari and Pandavas are living in Indraprastha, again, this we must tell many people that Gandhari never said the sentence Ande ka putra andha. Because many people think that real Mahabharata happened because of this sentence of Gandhari. So then they come back, 13 years are over. Now the only choice is dividing of Hastinapur. So Duryodhan refuses to give them Hastinapur, refuses them to give their own Indraprastha, refuses to give 5 villages, Krishna asks. And he says, not even one needle point I will give. Family property dispute. It still goes on. The only thing what remains now, the choice is war. So we must be clear on this. Again, this must be clearly understood by those who are today listening, because many people say that Krishna instigated the war. Krishna didn't instigate. Actually, there were so many peace missionaries, including Lord Krishna, came for peace negotiations. When the Kurukshetra war happens, before that, Arjun and Duryodhan chooses, and that decides the fate of the war. Arjun chooses Krishna, Duryodhan chooses his Narayani Sena. That is another important episode, that whom do we choose? Whom do we go when we are in a problem? Do we go to our neighbor or tailor or barber and ask him, some advices, or do we really go to Lord Krishna and Bhagavad Gita and say what Bhagavad Gita Lord Krishna is saying? And in the Kurukshetra war, we saw that 47 lakh people participated, only 11 survived. Only 11 survived. That is the reason it is called as bigger than the World War. Bigger than the World Wars, what has happened? World War I, World War II. And definitely Krishna on their side, Pandavas win and then establish a prosperous dharmic yada yadai dharmasya rajya, and then rule for 36 years. And then Yudhishthir does the Ashwamedh Yajna and establishment of dharma happens. So Krishna's avatar Karya is coming to an end. He goes to Dwarka. There the civil war happens and entire Yadav Kul is destroyed. Balram and Lord Krishna takes exit because their work is done. Jnaneshwar Maharaj took Samadhi in 21 years old. Work is done. Adi Shankaracharya in early 30s. Work is done. Vivekananda, early 30s. Work is done. Then they take an exit. And then here also Arjun and team, Yudhishthir and team realizes that now it is time up for their own role drama, what is going on in Hastinapur. They also leave Hastinapur with Parikshit, and then that lineage rules for 11,000 years. And the last episode of the Mahabharata is the Swargarohan by the Pandavas, which is again very interesting, very mysterious. And one question is answered there, that how everyone goes and then one by one they pass, and then Yamraj, his father, takes lot of tests of Yudhishthir. And when he reaches Swarga, he doesn't see Pandavas, but he sees Duryodhan there and Shakuni and Karna. So the last part of the Mahabharat is lot of significance is given on our karma, papa, punya, dharma, and hell and heaven. So we saw the answer there that Duryodhan and team got Swarga for a very momentary brief time because of they participated in war. And Pandavas got just a glimpse of Naraka because some faults, somewhere they would have done some small faults. And they got a long time for Swarga, and then Duryodhan and team gets for long time Naraka. So here we also saw in the last session that we have to be very careful what we talk, how we think, what we are doing. No, I am not doing anything wrong, but then I am thinking wrong about somebody else. That also will cause a lot of challenges. Because karma means not only physical action. Last time we saw doership is karma, motive is karma, physical action by body, mind, intellect is karma. So now one sadhak had inquired very interesting question which we must address. That how come Yudhishthir recognized Duryodhan in the Swarga? Because they are not having physical body. So very important question. So for that we must understand Vedanta. As Guruji mentions, I will mention this twice, that Guruji mentions that those who have learnt Vedanta and when they read Puran, Bhagavad Puran, Tulsi Ramayana, Valmiki Ramayana and other Puranas, it is very enjoyable, very beautiful and very clear. But those people who are not having Vedanta fundamentals clear, when they listen to Mahabharat or Bhagavad Puran or any other Pauranic, any rituals and all stories, there is a lot of confusion in their mind about lot of characters, Bhagwan, because they do not know the nature of God, nature of Swarga, nature of Naraka, nature of Bhulok. So now as this question has been asked, we have to address very important question. So Vedanta in our says very clearly that here right now in Bhulok, we have got a sthula sharira, which is basically sustained by Anna. It's called as Annamaya Kosha. Then there is a Sukshma Sharira. So when a person dies, the person is, that particular body is called as a Preta Sharira. So what is the significance of Preta Sharira? The gross body is not there, but that Preta Sharira can have experience, can listen. And that's the reason we chant Bhagavad Gita, 15th chapter, because that Preta Sharira hovers around the gross body, doesn't want to leave it. It tries to enter the gross body again and again. That's the reason we tie both thumbs of the leg so that it doesn't enter from that anus. It can enter because this is mentioned. And that's the reason what we do after somebody dies is very important. Suppose we become very sad and then why the person, that Preta Sharira will not be able to leave that gross body. Now it doesn't want that gross body. But then we are very sad and then there are so many people, so much attachment, the Pret Sharira becomes very difficult for it to go to the next body. So we must pray that let that Preta Sharira get the next beautiful body very easily. Then there is a Pitra Deha, Pitra Sharira. When somebody goes to Pitruloka, that Pitruloka Sharira can get the benefits of Shraddha, remembers the lineage, retains memory. And that's the reason we can see in Ramayana also that Sri Ram's father comes and gives him Ashirwad when he comes back from Lanka. Then there is a Bhoga Sharira. This is very important. Bhoga Sharira we get in the heaven and hell. Now, Bhoga Sharira is different than the Pitru Sharira. It is luminous, it is radiant, it is it is capable of enjoying immense pleasure. This body is not able to enjoy immense pleasure because of age, because of decay, because of disease. Right now, if you see many people above 50, they have all the money all the time, but sharir is not giving pleasure, can't eat, teeth not working properly. Then if I eat, then there is a stomach upset, I can't eat 10 things, I cannot hear, I cannot see. So in the heaven, we get a sharira which is so brilliant. It is only 25-year age, everybody. No decay, no hospital, and it is not sustained by food. Very, very important. Food I can enjoy. So if you see the descriptions of heaven, wine is flowing and then fruits, and you can just think samosa comes in front of me, and suppose I eat 10 samosas also, my stomach will not get upset. Again for lunch, I can have another idli, samosa, dosa, whatever I want. So that is the heaven Sharira. But very important, the question is how Yudhishthir recognize, very important in all these things, that the identity and the individuality is retained. Then only Chitragupt can give, okay, your credit card is over, after this you come back to Bhulok. And this is Gurudev's very, very famous logic, that the experiencer and the the rememberer and the sufferer and the enjoyer is the same entity. Suppose somebody has done punya, somebody has done papa, that both of them will get different sharira, but the identity and individuality remain same, and that's how we are able to recognize. Suppose we go to Pitruloka, we will be able to recognize, oh, my father. The father may not have the same face like what is there on your photo in your house, and you will also not have the same body, but I will be knowing, oh, he is my father, because identity, individuality remains same. Very, very important point. Even though the garment changes, the mother recognizes who is her son. This is only an example. But the individuality and the identity remains. Otherwise, Papa Punya Karma laws will not be applicable. At the same time, in the same breath, we must also remember this is all about Sharira. But Tattvabodh definition is what? Who am I? I am Atma. Sthula, Sukshma, Karana, Sharira, Vyatiriktam. In this life itself, in Bhoga, in this Bhulok, we are having Karma Yoni. In heaven, we are having Bhoga Yoni. In hell also, we get the same Sharira, Bhoga Yoni. There we experience suffering. In heaven, we experience pleasure. But to experience pleasure, we must have that kind of body who is capable of experiencing. So heavenly body is divine body. And then Yudhishthir also sees celestial bodies. Celestial bodies are devas. So many bodies we saw. Sthula Sharira, Sukshma Sharira, Karana Sharira, Preta Sharira, Pitru Sharira, Bhoga Sharira, Deva Sharira. Deva Sharira, there is no tamas and rajas, only sattva it has been made. That's the reason these devas who come here, they can change anywhere, any form. So that is one question which was asked, which I felt it is important, that how Yudhishthir recognized, not through the face of Duryodhan, because he is not having that face, but through the identity and individuality. And also in some of the versions it has been mentioned that Yudhishthir is the only person who went in heaven through having his own physical body. He was given entry for some time, and then it is mentioned in Mahabharat that he was able to see, and then he got transformed into the celestial form, and then all divisions dissolved. That is Vedantic point of view. So we should not confuse between Vedantic point of view and Pauranic point of view, and that's the reason we are going to discuss this, that when Mahabharat is written by many people, if suppose I am a very devout devotee of Lord Krishna and I look at the entire Mahabharata from bhakti point of view, then I will only highlight those aspects, so that we will see what are the different tones Mahabharata is written. So this was a story part which we saw quickly. But Mahabharata is not so great and unique, and after 5,000 years also we are learning. It is great because it has one of the greatest dharma dialogues. That verse we will read later on, that it has been mentioned that whatever is there in Mahabharata, it is, we can see it outside, but whatever is not there in Mahabharata, which is not seen outside, what is happening. So why it is so great? Because there are so many dharma discourses, dharma, artha, kama, moksha. So it is a complete text which gives us how to live, how to govern, how to lead, how to have relationships, how to be successful, how to earn money, and finally how to enjoy and how to liberate. All these dialogues are there in Mahabharata. This is the uniqueness about Mahabharata. So what are the dialogues? First, very popular Bhagavad Gita, which talks about dharma of action, dharma of devotion, dharma of jnana, and dharma of liberation. All four are covered in Bhagavad Gita. Then there is Yaksha Prashna, dharma of wisdom. Then Narada Yudhishthira dialogue, which I personally liked it very much because it is in Naradji asked question and it is one line answer. Then Vidura Niti, dharma of leadership. Then one of the most famous elongated dialogue is Bhishma Yudhishthira on dharma of governance. Entire governance knowledge he gives. And then Nahusha Yudhishthira dialogue, Dharma Vyadha dialogue. And then we also saw Anu Gita again, dialogue between Lord Krishna and Markandeya dialogues are there. So there are many dialogues. These are the major ones, but there are smaller ones also. Krishna Draupadi dialogue is very famous in some places. So it has been mentioned that Mahabharata covers, so we must read. Another myth what people have known of Mahabharata, we should not read at home. It is okay to listen, but it is giving us personal, family, professional, social, liberate, spiritual, dharma, artha, kama, moksha, all aspects of life. So that's the reason that is a glory of Mahabharata. So we reflected on that text completely. Now we'll see what are the referent texts, those who are interested to read further or explore. So most popular text available today, which most people refer, is the Gita Press Mahabharata. We'll also see how Gita Press printed it. But before that, we also have to see when was printing started in India and how printing came. Because all these things we are reading now because printing press came. Before printing press, how it was coming. And then you wonder, this I never thought. When was printing press started? Printing press started only by Portuguese in Goa in 1560. And those printing press were started by Portuguese for spreading Christian missionary knowledge. That was the purpose. Actually, Indians started printing only in 1980, 1980, Indian printing press started, where we started owning a printing press and started understanding the importance of printing something and spreading at mass scale. Because till that time only oral tradition were there. So we have to understand it started only in 1900. Another work which we will refer is that one of the best works in Mahabharata, what has happened is the critical edition of Mahabharata by Bhandarkar Institute, Pune. That we will see how it started, why it is so important. Then there is Krishna Mohan Ganguly's Mahabharata. Then there is Mahabharata unraveled by Ami Ganatra. If those who don't have time, they can read at least Ami Ganatra's Mahabharata. So now we will see the history how this Mahabharata happened in 5,000 years back. Ved Vyasji compiled it, Ganeshji wrote it. But he would have written on a what? He would have written on a palm leaf. So there is no original Mahabharat script available anybody has found, written by Ganpati. That is not there. So before that we will see what is the meaning, because sometimes we have forgotten reading history now. So BC, when we say BC, what Western world did is that they divided the entire years into two: before Christ, after Christ. So when we read history, we see BC, AD, CE. What is the meaning of that? We have forgotten. What is the long form? So BC is before Christ. And then AD actually it should have been BC and AC, after Christ, but it became AD. AD is Anno Domino. So that is some Latin word for after Christ. Then the Britishers came and then they said common era. Before Christ, common era, BCE, and after Jesus, ERA. So why it is important? Because when we read history, they will write CE. What is CE means is common era. So we will now see how it happened. In Dwapar Yug, this Mahabharat happened, which Ved Vyasji compiled and Ganpati wrote. Till long time, thousands of years, it was only oral tradition. So now we can see orally, some people think oral is more problematic than written. No, actually oral tradition is the perfect one. Because right now, recently we saw in Kashi, one young boy from Pune went and did Ghanapat. I would request all of you to see videos of that Ghanapat, those who have not seen. It became a national event. Modi ji, celebrated his kind of expertise and skill. 15-year-old boy. So Ghanapat means they have to read everything from Om Namah Shivaya, then they will say Om Namah, then Mana, Om. That way they have to go up and down, the entire he reads. So in that, why it is Ghanapat is all created, because then there is no possibility of error. To avoid error, nobody can do interpolations in oral, because it will not fit into the Ghanapat. So till long time, these oral traditions were going on till 2nd and 3rd CE, that is 2nd and 3rd century. Gupta dynasty started in the 3rd, 4th Gupta dynasty, became one of the greatest rulers in Bharat. And Guptas were Vaishnavas, they were Krishna devotees. So in Gupta dynasty, Mahabharat was written down and Sanskrit flourished. And it has been mentioned that in Gupta dynasty, I think the entire Mahabharat was rewritten after long thousands of years, because the entire Mahabharat is not found anywhere. Then in the 17th century, directly what we have a proof is that Neelkantanji, there is a lot of literature available by Neelkantanji. He wrote Bharat Bhavadvipa. This is the first text available in Sanskrit. Complete Mahabharat in Sanskrit. It is available. 17th century, Neelkantanji wrote. He was a Vedantin, he was a devotee. So there are a lot of other texts. But Bharata Bhavadvipa he wrote, which is the first written document we have. Because we cannot have documents written in 3rd, 4th century, because they were writing on palm leaf, they were writing on copper plates, they were writing on some other leaves, bark of trees. So till 17, after that, there was no attempt to collate Mahabharat. So in the 19th century, 1916, this is we should remember and we should congratulate, and hats off to these 4 people, Bhandarkar, Belwalkar, Vaidya, Mahendale, Suktankar from Pune. There was no money. So Belwalkar gave money, 1 lakh rupees. That time there is an institute there which is still there in Pune, Bhandarkar Oriental Research Institute, In 19th century, they saw there is no written document available of Mahabharata. All are scattered. Because Mahabharata is 1 lakh verses. Somebody will have only one Parva, somebody will have only Bhishma Parva, somebody will have only few verses. That's how it was scattered. And when they started collating, collecting Sanskrit documents, if those who are interested, they can go to SIF, our Chinmaya International Foundation, which has got several thousands of original Sanskrit documents of many texts now preserved and digitalized. From all India, they collected many from Kerala of various texts, Vedantic texts, because Mughals came and destroyed many of them. So we must really salute that today Bhandarkar, Belwalkar, Vaidya Mahendra Suktantkar did research for almost 50 years. They got a Padma Bhushan. It was rewarded by the President of India. He inaugurated that book because it has got 19 volumes of Mahabharata. And why it was important? Because till 19th century, Mahabharata existed in 100 regional versions, especially most of them are found in 4 versions they have divided: Northern, Southern, Kashmir and Nepal. In Nepal, they found the maximum versions of Mahabharata, written one. But those were all scattered, some 10 pages, some 100 pages, some 200 pages, all scattered, lost. No, third important point, no two manuscripts were identical. Because tomorrow, suppose I write Mahabharata, some portion, and then it remains after 1,000 years, somebody picks up. Who knows whether it is my own interpretation? Because when I was taking these sessions also, I realized that how I can interpolate lot of things. And then you will believe, those who trust me little bit know, they will say, this is what is right. But who knows? Now this is very important, that this Bhandarkar Oriental Research Institute, you can just Google today in Pune on YouTube, you will find that institute, beautiful institute is there. And there are a lot of videos how Mahabharata they made it. You know how many manuscripts they studied? 1025 manuscripts they collected and studied. Sometimes they say 1259 manuscript, 1259 scattered manuscripts of Mahabharata collected from India. And total, that Bori, it is called Bori, critical edition. They got 89,000 verses Mahabharata they have made, not 1 lakh verses. Now, how did they go about? This is very important for all of us sadhaks who are listening to Mahabharata. First of all, they classified the manuscript by region, whether it was found in Nepal, South. So if you see South people, South editions, there is a lot of empathy towards Karna, which is not there in Northern edition at all. Karna is the hero, where actually Vedvyas is Mahabharata. Karna is more villainous than Shakuni. Then they classified into script. What is a script? Then tradition. Which year? Recension it is called in Sanskrit. Where? And then they classified there. Then they went verse by verse, compared shloka by shloka. And those who know Sanskrit, line by line, 1000 manuscript they studied and eliminated all interpolations. How? Because suppose it is not found in common, it is an interpolation of South or North or Kashmir, then they deleted it. Because there are so many side stories, so many regional stories about Draupadi, about Karna, that Draupadi actually liked Karna more. There is no sentence anyway. And then Draupadi actually, liked Krishna more. Well, so this is all imagination of people who are dramatized. And then they eliminated what is not common. This is very important. They only selected the verses which they found maximum in 1000 verses, that it is there. This episode is there. This verse is there. And they checked, and other all were eliminated. A verse was accepted if it appeared in widely separated manuscript. Like suppose it is appearing in southern Kashmir, Nepal, and four regions. All four regions, if it is appearing, they will say it is Ved Vyasji's Mahabharata. It is not some addition in the regional way. And it took how many years? 1916 they started, 1960 they completed 19 volumes. But today what is more popular, because it has 19 volumes, it is very difficult to read. But those who know Sanskrit, they must at least have a glimpse how it, wonderful work, one by word, and when those who know Sanskrit, they can find out, whether it is written by Adi Shankaracharya or Vidyaranya, they can find out depending upon the style. Even in art, they can find out, or the archaeology, they can find out this belongs to Mohenjo-daro, this belongs to later on from the paintings. Then came Gita Press. Gita Press started in 1923 by Goenkas and Poddar. They were actually Vaishnavized Krishna Bhaktas. So they have 1000 verses. Today, Mahabharat, which has become popular today world over, what Mahabharat people read, is the Gita Press Mahabharat. Gita Press Mahabharat, they started in 23, they completed in 32, based on Bhakti and Dharma more. Vedanta is less in that. And earlier part is based on 17th century Nilkant, and the later part, it is based on the Bori, that is the Bhandarkar Oriental Institute, because those were doing simultaneously. So as we mentioned that how it came. So earlier it was oral tradition for thousands of years. Then they were used to write on palm leaves or bhojapatra, talapatra or bhojapatra, and then copper plates. Now, how can talapatra and bhojapatra remain? In 1956, first printing press, Moha, and in 18th century, printing press expanded in Kolkata, Madras, Chennai, and Mumbai for newspaper. That was British newspapers used to come, mostly owned by Britishers. Rajaram Mohan Roy actually started printing. Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar, if you read history, they started and understood the importance of press, because the moment you print a paper, it can reach thousands of people in five minutes. Mass scale communication, it only started in 19th century. And then in 1960 and 80, computers came. And today it has become a information bombardment, because 1990, World Wide Web came, internet. And today we can just on a click, I can just read what is written in Bhandarkar Oriental. Because for me, I had to read, I was more interested in what is written in by Bhandarkar Oriental Institute, because it is a highly researched document. Today, world over, the scholars respect that, because it has collated and it has studied thousands manuscript for years. And so whatever we have discussed, it is given in the Oriental also. So whatever I have taken in the last sessions of Mahabharat, it has been researched and approved by the critical edition of Bhandarkar Oriental Institute. So what are the different tones? And that's the reason there is confusion. What we saw on the screen was what drama. It was more based on drama. Then there is a Krishna Bhakti Pradhan Mahabharat written. There Krishna is like Bhagavad, is a lord, mystical lord. More miracles and mysticism is prominently in those kind of Mahabharat versions. Then there are some scholars who wrote Vedantic type of Mahabharat, where Vedanta, Bhagavad Gita was given more prominence. The Dharma dialogues were given more prominence. The story part was given less. Then there are another Mahabharat version, especially regional ones, where dramatic speeches are there. Long speeches of Draupadi, Krishna, Bhishma, but which are their own imaginations. And in some of the Mahabharat, more importance is given to pilgrimage and side stories. So we can see that what is my mentality. We can see today also, if you read Swami Chinmayananda's Bhagavad Gita and if you read Prabhupada, ISKCON Bhagavad Gita, they are different. Same verse of the Bhagavad Gita, but the interpretation is different. And that's the reason we have different schools of thought. Madhavacharya's schools of thought is Bhakti Pradhan. Shankaracharya's thought is Vedantic view of Bhagavad Gita. So, but what we discussed is focused on history. So, our tone was history, not any other tone. Now, one of the interesting thing before we complete is that this is about Mahabharat. But there are so many Gita Bhashyas we have which appears in Mahabharat, which we have been reading and listening. So definitely Adi Shankaracharya, when he wrote commentary in the 8th century, so Adi Shankaracharya came in 8th century, he wrote Bhashya on Bhagavad Gita, he would have definitely read Mahabharat that time, which was available. Then in 11th and 12th century, Ramanujacharya came and wrote, he was from Tamil Nadu, Shankaracharya was in Kerala. In 4th and 5th century, Gupta dynasty was there. Ramanujacharya came and wrote commentary on the Bhagavad Gita, so Mahabharat would be available in some portion that time. In 12th and 13th century, Jnaneshwar Maharaj came in Alandi, he wrote Bhashya on Bhagavad Gita, which is part of Mahabharat. In 13th century, Madhavacharya came in Udupi and wrote Bhashya on Bhagavad Gita. In 14th century, Sridhar Swami from Gujarat, Varanasi, came and wrote Bhashya on the Bhagavad Gita. 15th, 16th century, Vallabhacharya, Raipur, he came. 20th century, Tilak Gandhi or Aurobindo wrote Bhashya on commentary on Bhagavad Gita. And in 1950s, Swami Chinmayananda wrote commentary on Bhagavad Gita, which became one of the most famous with more than 500 yajnas. In 1968, Prabhupada also wrote commentary on the Bhagavad Gita, which is part of Mahabharat, which is ISKCON. Prabhupada is the founder of the ISKCON. In 1968, he wrote. So if we read even Bhagavad Gita, we can see there are different tones. Mahabharata is so vast. So when we read Itihas, we must read Itihas as a Itihas, how it happened and when it happened, etc. So to complete our entire reflection on Mahabharata, we'll complete with these two verses. But before that announcement, that what is after this? After Mahabharat, what now? So I am also thinking what, but this year is the 75th year of, Chinmaya movement. So couple of months back, this thought was coming to me that what will be my offering towards Gurudev. So there is a interesting thought given by Gurudev only that there is a module what I made called as the 9 yes and the 9 no's from Bhagavad Gita. Because we have reflected on the Bhagavad Gita, but this will be short one. 9 yes and the 9 no's. Yes means yes, we have to do this, and this no's are we don't have to do it from the Bhagavad Gita with the verses. Now you might say, this is your own creation. Yes, I have made it, but the stamp and approved by Swami Advayananji by reading verses. He told it is matching, and he changed one verse also, so it is approved. He liked it so much that he told, I will someday take this topic because I like the topic very much. It is a new topic, 9 yes and 9 no's. And why we are going to take this? Because this we can directly take to youth corporate. Because corporate, if you say we will take on Bhagavad Gita, then they will say no. Short module, Module 9 yes, 9 no's, no complaints. Where it comes in Bhagavad Gita, we will see. No criticism. This normally I say that. But that was a thought that, because I used to always say no complaints, no criticism, no comparison. And then how it can be connected to Bhagavad Gita. So that's how these verses came. 18 verses. So that we will take. After that, I have not yet thought what will happen because this will be a short one. I would invite all of you that those who are interested, please WhatsApp me what text we can take. It should be a long text so that we can, spend at least a year. And one more thing before we complete Mahabharata is that many people ask me after the text that they want to donate something. So my invitation to you is that Manisha will send you a link. I am a sevak. There is no Guru Dakshina here, but our centers are run on our own money. So there is a center here in Narayan Zone where one Swamini says Swami Bhumananji, and we all support her to run the center. She stays here and then spreads the message. Swami Swatmananji stays in Juhu. So we have to maintain the center, and as we are not having any yajna, those who are keen, they can support those centers, because now we are completing one text. Anytime you have a kind of doubt, you can write to me and Manisha will post the where you can where you can donate. But there you must write Chinmay Narayan Zone, Sevak, etc. So it reaches that kind of account as such. Because many people ask after the text is completed, but this is not Guru Dakshina, because this is a Sevak of Gurudev, spreading knowledge. So now this Mahabharat Itihas is dharma knowledge through history and case studies. And why? What is the purpose of studying? Dharmartha kama mokshanam upadesha samanvitam purva vrutta katha yukta itihasam prachakshate. Very beautiful definition of Mahabharat. What it is? That text which narrates the events of past and contains the teachings about four goals: dharma, righteousness; artha, prosperity; kama, desire, pleasure, enjoyment; and moksha, liberation, is called itihasa, and that is the importance of Mahabharata. And yadi hasti tadanyatra yanne hasti na tat kvachita. This is a very important verse. Whatever is found here in the Mahabharata may be found elsewhere. But whatever is not found here in this text cannot be found anywhere. That is the greatness of Mahabharata. It is so vast. 80,000 to 1 lakh verses. So with that, we offer this at Puja Gurudev's feet, and especially I used to pray Ved Vyasji before taking the class that whatever you said, it should reach. Don't allow any one word to go which you have not mentioned. So that was a prayer. Definitely those who are interested to read, Ami Ganatra's book is very good, short and sweet. I was referring that and then checking with the Bhandarkar Oriental and Gita Press, cross-checking whether it is appearing in both. So those who are interested can read that, because she has only given what is there in the Gita Press edition of the Mahabharata. It's a short one in English, so one can read in detail that. So with that, with Lord's grace and Guru Parampara's blessings, we have completed. Next Sunday and post that, we will have a break, because I am traveling. I do not know the network there. And 2nd July, Sunday, we are going to start this 9 yes and 9 no's from the Bhagavad Gita. And in between, suppose I receive some of the WhatsApp, which text we should consider. Otherwise, we will pray to God, and God will, Gurudev will suggest some text which will come. So we will continue our journey of exploring. And as we all know, Monday, Kenopanishad 7 to 7:45, we are taking very, very brilliant, subtle, advanced Upanishad, experiential Upanishad, because we are going to take some meditations. And you will see why I'm calling experiential, because it talks about our experience. Right now, you are having an experience of listening. But how that Upanishad addresses that is a brilliant way. It expounds the real knowledge, truth. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namah. Hari Om. Thank you very much. If anyone has any questions on Mahabharat, you can wait and ask.